video isn't going to be one of those videos that's like a product to show you, a really cool app or something like that for you to see, but it's a video that I really hope you're using with your students, and it has to do with what you saw in the intro of my yard. My yard is weed central right now. Like, it is crazy how many weeds are in this yard. You could see the front yard that I did mow. That's what I was doing. I have not touched my backyard yet. It is insanely covered with weeds, and it got me thinking about a point that I like to address with my students every year, and I hope you're doing with yours, but let's talk about it in case you're not. Every year with my students, I try to do 3 things at the beginning of the year. 3 things that I feel like are 3 of the most important things you can do with your students all year long. 1, develop relationships. You have to build relationships with your students, or the impact you're gonna have on them means nothing. 2, establish routines. Your routines and your expectations are the most important thing you do in classroom, far beyond the skills, the standards, the curriculum, all of that. Number 3 is making sure that those first 2 things aren't forgotten, that your relationships stay built, and that you follow those routines and those expectations. You stick to them all the time. Now, I was gonna get real creative and like shoot this all over my yard like I just did in the grass and the trampoline, but it is super comfortable laying on a trampoline. If you've never gone out and just hung out on a trampoline like this, like just laid down, forget the jumping, this top's jumping any day. This is where I'm going with this talk. So doing those 3 things, relationships, routines, keeping all that going, has to do with why I talked about my yard in the first place. So let's back up to July. So in July, our family took a trip out west. We road tripped from Illinois to Colorado to Vegas to Utah to South Dakota to Iowa back to Illinois. Like 19 days we were gone from our house. And when we got back, our yard looked like, sorry about that, it did. It looked terrible. 2 things happened. Our grass didn't grow at all. The weeds grew like crazy. We got back and Trisha's like, what in the world happened? The grass didn't grow at all, it's dead, but the weeds spread like crazy. And here's why I'm tying this to a classroom, and I hope that this makes sense to you. So here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about your students like that grass and those weeds. Don't consider your students weeds, but what happened with them, right? All kids are different. The way that I came up with this video, and the reason I want to do this today, is because I saw somebody put up this image. Do it right in the first 2 weeks, or do it wrong and do it all year long. And it got me thinking about my kids in my yard. The problem is, if you don't take care of them, they're going to spread and they're going to harm the other things. If you do take care of them, they're going to spread in the sense that they're becoming part of there's a squirrel over there that is being really annoying right now. They're going to become part of it, right? Like, had I taken care of all those weeds, maybe not, the grass would have grown better. But now that I have taken care of the weeds in some parts of my lawn, the grass is thriving. It has to be a balance. Giving the love and the attention to the students who need it because they have to have you to thrive, but also giving the love and attention to the students who could care less and will spread no matter what, but are spreading in the wrong direction, okay? So take care of it all. Take care of it all with those 3 simple steps. And this made me think about one of my favorite books. And it's a book that I got from 2 students of mine, 2 sisters that I taught a long time ago, who are the sweetest girls in the world. And they gave me this book that really makes me think about this concept. And I think I left it in the grass. Hold on. Here we go. The book is called Mrs. Spitzer's Garden. And if you've never read this story or you don't know of this book, I highly suggest you go find it. Mrs. Spitzer's Garden is a story about teachers that they focus on things like a garden. And this kind of goes along with what I'm talking about, except they don't focus on the weeds, they talk about flowers. But there's a point in here where I really want you to listen to. As the plants grow, plants meaning the students in her classroom, grow, Mrs. Spitzer watches them closely. She checks daily for weeds and pests. Now, weeds and pests in your classroom can mean different things. You can't solve a problem by ignoring it. She knows that different plants need different things, that each plant has its own shape. Some of the plants will grow quickly, pushing upward, eager and patient. Some grow more slowly, unfolding themselves bit by bit. Some plants sprout thin and tall. Some are bushy and wide-spreading. Some are bold and showy. They are brightly colored, saying, "Look at me." Some are silvery and quiet, the color of the earth. A few are like wildflowers and will grow anywhere you put them. And some need a gentle care, a special watching over. Read that book now. Like, don't wait till the end of the year to read that story to your students. Let's face it, I'm not a perfect teacher, guys, but I'm gonna be 100% and brutally honest here. We all have those students who we think or we know are a lot easier to love than others, right? Like, you can't lie and say that's not true, okay? A lot easier to love than others, and it would be a lot easier in our job if we could just focus all our attention on that and not have to worry about the behaviors. But just like I showed you in my yard, just like that book explains, and just like this idea I'm trying to get you to understand, is those kids need you to love them to grow in a certain way. The ones that are your behavior issues or your problem students right now, or the ones who are really pushing your buttons, need you to love them to grow in a certain way as well. The only difference is they're gonna grow negatively in the opposite direction without it. Does that make sense? take care of the weeds and the grass and the flowers and just do what you do. Okay, that whole golden rule, treating someone the way you would like to be treated is great to a sense, but I think sometimes we need to say treat people how they need to be treated, right? Like, not everybody needs the same thing, and not everybody's going to get that same thing from a curriculum or a, you know, rushing through a scope and sequence or a time test of some sort. They're going to get it from you, and they're going to get it from those three things we talked about: relationships, expectations, and following through. So do it right now or do it wrong the rest of the year. It's up to you. Just take care of your kids, guys. Just have fun. Be a teacher.